in Top Fantasy Baseball today on Monday, May 18th. I am Frank Stampfl, joined by Chris Towers. Today on the show, it was a big weekend. The Mariners promoted top prospect Colt Emerson. Blake Snell needs surgery. We'll talk waiver wire ads and much more. But let's get things started with the players of the night, brought to you by Stitch Fix. If you're like me and clothes shopping isn't your thing, Stitch Fix has you covered. Get $20 off your first order at stitchfix.com/baseball.
It is done! Edgar Carroll wins it! Shut up!
What an unbelievable call by
Wow.
the White Sox radio broadcast for Edgar Carrow's walk-off home run on Sunday. We will not be talking about Edgar Carroll, but that was just a fantastic call. So big thanks to the gent who sent that to me on X. I do appreciate that. If anyone else hears some crazy calls, just send them my way and I'll work them into the rotation. Let's get into the players from the weekend. And Chris, you are up first.
Yeah, and this is might have some egg on my face on this one because Zack Wheeler.
We all do.
But I feel like I deserve to wear it more than you or Scott. I think I was much more vocal in my skepticism around Zack Wheeler. And for the first, 4 starts, he looked good, but like a diminished version of himself in a way that was like, okay, I can see him being useful, but not an ace. And then on Sunday, he just looked like Zack Wheeler. I mean, he averaged 96.3 miles per hour with the four-seamer. That was up 1.7 miles per hour for the season. And he was down 1.5 miles per hour for the season from last season. So you can do the math on that one. He was up over his average from 2025 before he had the shoulder surgery. And he mostly sustained it throughout the start. I mean, it was like 97, 98 the first inning, maybe more like 96 the last inning, but it was clearly up across the board, and that pitch was incredible. 9 whiffs, 41% whiff rate. The sinker, I think, got a lot of weak contact, even though it didn't miss many bats. 13 whiffs overall, 8 strikeouts, over 7 shutout innings against a Pittsburgh lineup that's been pretty good this season. I think I was wrong to doubt Zack Wheeler. I'm not ready to say he is the 3rd best pitcher in fantasy or whatever, like he was before the injury, but I am ready to say that I was probably wrong, that he would not be a must-start pitcher, and I've moved him up into my top 15 at starting pitcher in both head-to-head points and roto. Look, you have to account for some elevated injury risk here. So if we were redrafting today, I don't know if I could take him as the 15th starting pitcher off the board. But Max Fried's on the IL right now, and George Kirby had another bad start on Sunday. And gosh, Freddie Peralta walked 6. I'm just going through the guys who I have ranked right behind him now. Kyle Bradish has had an interesting season, and Framber Valdez has had an interesting season, and Kevin Gausman just doesn't have the upside. And I think we've got to be back here with Zack Wheeler as an ace. Yeah.
I think that's all fair. And it wasn't just the fastball. I mean, the velocity was up on everything. His sinker up 1.3, the splitter up nearly 2 miles per hour. The cutter was up 2, the sweeper up 1.4, the curve up 1.1. He was pretty much just back to Zack Wheeler form from last year, which is crazy. Again, I agree with you. I don't just think he's back to being a top 5 starting pitcher, but I'm eyeballing that range of the rankings. You know, I have Cease at 13, Imanaga at 14, George Kirby at 15. I think Wheeler probably should be ahead of Kirby, but then like Joe Ryan at 16. Yeah, like that is probably
good. Yeah,
the right range, I think, for Zack Wheeler. So I am sorry that we ever doubted you, man. It's just like we don't have a great track record. Granted, this was a different thoracic outlet than other pitchers have had before.
But even just beyond that,
has not
35-year-old starting pitcher coming back from a serious health scare and then serious surgery that he had to have a rib removed. He's down 10 to 15 pounds from his playing weight from last year. Like, there were lots of reasons to be skeptical of Zack Wheeler, and as it turns out, they were the wrong reasons, I guess, because he looks really, really good. in a way that, at least for this start, look, he might go back to his next start and average 94.5 and get hit a little harder and not miss as many bats, which that had been the case the previous couple starts. And then maybe this will look like an overreaction. But based on what we saw today, I have to give Zack Wheeler a ton of credit for what he just did.
Yeah, and we were talking beforehand. It wasn't the greatest week for me to go on a different podcast, the Fantasy Pros podcast with our buddy the Welsh and Joe Arico, and we did a rankings debate, and he was much higher on Zack Wheeler. I had Wheeler at like SP 27, so I wasn't completely out, but I was like, let's proceed with caution. The strikeouts are down and all that, but yeah, I mean, this was just the best version of Zack Wheeler that we've seen all season. By the way, we did kind of a collaboration with those guys on YouTube, and you could find that episode on our YouTube channel as well. So if you want to check that out, we went through a bunch of different rankings debates, and it was a lot of fun. And Zack Wheeler was a topic of conversation before this start, of course. Let's keep things moving here. My player of the weekend, Roki Sasaki, with the best start of his career at the Angels. 7 innings of 1-run ball, 8 strikeouts, 0 walks is the key there for Roki Sasaki. 18 whiffs on 91 pitches. His slider looked really good. 7 of those 18 whiffs came on the slider, 6 on the fastball, 4 on the splitter, 1 on the forkball. And StatCast is now differentiating his 2 different types of splitters. So we've talked about this recently where Roki Sasaki has a splitter that he's throwing harder. That is classified just as his splitter. And now the softer one is classified as a forkball for him. But really, it was the slider that really stood out to me. And the slider had like pretty good numbers coming into this start. It hasn't been this good all season. But we spoke about this last week where the splitter, the slider have been very good for Roki Sasaki. His fastball gets hit hard. His fastball still got hit really hard in this one. So he's not perfect, but the fact that he threw 76% of his pitches for strikes, did not walk anybody, and seems like he's trending up. He's 50% rostered. He's at the Brewers this week. Honestly, I don't want to use him in that start, but Chris, I did have a bunch of bids on him, and a lot of those are still pending. So we'll see if I wind up getting him. But just to pick him up and see where this goes, because obviously he is someone who had a bunch of prospect pedigree and talent, and maybe he's starting to put it together.
Yeah, I think the fastball is still a bad pitch for him. And so it's mostly about, one, can he command the fastball at least consistently enough that it's not a disaster for him and he can steal a couple of strikes? And then 2, can he throw the other pitches consistently enough that he only has to throw the fastball 35 to 40% of the time? And when it was just the slow forkball that we're calling it now and the slider, it didn't work because he couldn't throw the forkball for strikes. Well, now he's got this, I almost view it as kind of like a splinker for him, where it's a harder splitter that he can get whiffs with for sure, but it's also a pitch he can actually command at least a little more consistently. The slider has been a pretty good pitch for him early in counts as well. It's actually his second most used pitch in first pitch situations. And so the whole thing is starting to make sense in a way it really hasn't so far in his career. I think this is I've said it a couple times over the last, 2 weeks or so, that this is the closest Roki Sasaki has looked like to a major league pitcher. And I think this is the closest he's looked like to having real reasons for optimism now, because it now looks like the whole arsenal starts to make a little more sense. And I don't think he's ever going to live up to the hype he came with, prior to joining the Dodgers. There was talk about him being one of the most talented pitchers in the world. I do not think he's that, but he looks useful right now. I think over the past 4 starts now, it's 21 strikeouts and 22 innings with only 4 walks. The ERA is not great in that stretch, a little better after this one, but he's looking better right now. And I think that's the best you can ask. You got to look at him as a high variance flyer. But at least now there is some reason for optimism for Roki Sasaki.
Let's compare him to some of the waiver wire pitchers we've talked a lot about over the past week. Would you take Roki Sasaki or Logan Henderson, who had another solid start? I wish the Brewers would push him a little bit more and like let him go third time through the order and give us 6 innings, but it was 5 innings, 1 run, 6 strikeouts, like just a standard Logan Henderson. He's been good whenever he's pitched. Who would you rather have between those two?
Oh, it's Henderson fairly clearly for me.
Yeah, I think so too.
I don't think Sasaki's anywhere near. Like, Henderson should be rostered in all leagues.
He's only 72% rostered for Henderson.
No, I get that. And I guess you could see some shallower points leagues, with how rarely he has been allowed to go deep in games. I guess you could see, but I would rather have Henderson for sure.
Would you rather have Roki Sasaki or Bailey Ober?
That's the one where I think it's okay to say Sasaki.
I think so too. What about Sasaki or Bryce Miller?
I think I would go with Bryce Miller, but I think they're pretty similar.
And Sasaki or Ryan Nelson?
I would also go Nelson here, but again, I think it's similar risk reward there for both of them.
Yeah, I think the upside, I guess I want to say the upside for Sasaki's higher, but it's just kind of like a mystery bag thing because we don't really know what his upside is. We haven't really seen it. I mean, this was the best start we've ever got from him. I feel like the floor is higher for someone like Ryan Nelson, though.
Oh, yeah.
I know he's had some blow-up starts this year, but like one of them was in Mexico City, and he's made changes and he's looked a lot better. So
the floor for Sasaki is this guy should not be in a major league rotation, which is most of what his career has been.
Exactly where I was going next with that. So great start here from Roki Sasaki. I do have a bonus player of the weekend. I have to mention Angel Martinez, man. The week that this guy just had, only played 5 games this week. He had 4 homers, 8 runs, 7 RBI, 3 steals in just 5 games. And was digging in just to see, what he's doing differently so far this season. The barrel rate is up. I mean, he has almost tripled it so far. It's up from 3.5% to 10%, which again, like 10% isn't a great number, but it's a really good number for him when, again, last year it was 3.5%. And this year as well, he's been really good at pulling the ball in the air. So 26% pulled air rate for someone who doesn't have huge raw power. That's a way that he can make it work. The next step for him to, I guess, reach his ultimate like fantasy potential is just playing every day, because there still have been some games against righties that Angel Martinez hasn't been playing. But I think if you missed out on AJ Ewing or JJ Bleday, I think Angel Martinez is probably the next outfielder up.
Yeah, I think there's still a fairly limited ceiling here, but the one thing that I think Scott has pointed out a few times, I've noticed it as well, he has already had 7 batted balls this season that were hit harder than his hardest batted ball last season.
You know what it reminds me a little bit of? Geraldo Perdomo from last year.
A little bit, yeah. Now, it's worth noting that none of those have come in the past 13 days now, and only 2 of them have come in the last month. So it was during that very early hot streak. I still think he's a fairly limited pop guy, and it's going to have to be, really pulling the ball in the air, but he doesn't quite have the Isaac Paredes bat control. We're talking about a 20% strikeout rate guy, even though he sits against a lot of tougher righties. So I don't really buy Angel Martinez as someone who needs to be rostered in all fantasy formats, but I said it with Jordan Walker on Friday's podcast, I think. I like to see when the breakout struggles and then bounces back. And that is what we're seeing from Angel Martinez. He went ice cold for, 2 or 3 weeks before.
He was on the most dropped list on Monday when we talked about it.
And for good reason. And so I'm skeptical that this is going to matter long term, but if you haven't dropped him, don't drop him now. And, if you missed out on Ewing and Carson Bench and JJ Bleday, and I would say even Ryan Waldschmidt, I would rather have. I know, maybe you'd rather use Angel Martinez right now, although Waldschmidt's hitting like 280. I think he just hasn't.
It's been kind of empty.
Yeah, it's been empty so far, but I think Angel Martinez it matters, even though I don't think he's great.
All right. Thank you to Stitch Fix for sponsoring today's Players of the Night. Stitch Fix takes the hassle out of clothes shopping. Just take a quick style quiz, share your size, your vibe, and your budget, and you'll be matched with a real human stylist who will send you a fixed box with clothes that fit and make sense for your life. Get started at stitchfix.com/baseball for $20 off your first order. That's stitchfix.com/baseball. Before we hit our first break, God, I know you've been waiting for this, Chris. The Yankees stink. They absolutely stink. The June swoon came early. It's May Day. It's May Day. Oh my gosh. Look, congrats to the Mets, to the Mets and their fans. Like, winning 2 out of 3 in Citi Field, like, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter. But in the ways that they won, it was a very embarrassing showing for my Yankees. Oh man, David Bednar, Austin Wells, just shoot those guys to the moon, man. Just brutal game here on Sunday. With that, big thanks to everyone watching live. We appreciate you being here. Make sure to hit that like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that as well. Let's take a quick break, and we'll be back right after this.
This isn't just combat. It's cinema.
Ready or not, here I come. Let's go! Are you not entertained?
The new home of UFC, Paramount Plus.
Welcome back in Fantasy Baseball today. Let's hit the news and notes. And Brendan Donovan went on the IL. As a result, the Mariners called up their top prospect, Colt Emerson, someone we touted coming into the season. We've talked a lot about him as a prospect. 38 games at AAA. He was hitting .255 with 7 homers, 10 steals, and .816 OPS. I'm not so sure that he completely earned this promotion, Chris. I think it's just more out of like injury necessity right now. Don't get me wrong. He's a great prospect. I think long-term he's going to be a really good player. It's just some stuff under the hood, 27% strikeout rate. Like the whiffs were up. The zone contact wasn't great. I'm still excited for him. I picked him up in Tout Wars for $88 out of a $1,000 budget. What are your thoughts here on Colt Emerson? Is he a must-add player in fantasy?
More or less, I would say. It's hard because breaking into the top 12 when you're only shortstop eligible is really, really hard. I don't think he
started at third base, so I think
he's going to play third base. Yeah. Yes, I think he's going to be the full-time third baseman moving forward, at least until Brendan Donovan's back. They'll figure out what to do at that point. Although sounds like Donovan, might be dealing with some just kind of chronic things right now. So he's going to get some runway, and he had been better lately. Striking out a lot, but hitting .288, hitting 3 homers in 14 games in the month of May. The thing that is interesting about Colt Emerson is the strikeout rate is up. It's not really because he whiffs a ton. His contact rates are actually quite good. I think it was 86% in-zone contact rate, which is plenty above average. His swing decisions haven't been great so far this season. He's a very aggressive swinger. And so that does remind me a little bit of like a Jackson Merrill type, where, I think you have to make a lot of contact and do a lot of damage on the contact you make. And right now we're seeing Jackson Merrill a little up and down. And Colt Emerson's very young, getting the call as a 20-year-old. He won't turn 21 for a couple more months. I think he's super talented. I think the upside is very, very high in the long run. I think it could look a lot like what we've seen from J.J. Weatherholt. It'll be shaped a little differently. He'll strike out more, walk less than J.J. Weatherholt, but that similar kind of not great batting average, but could be pretty solid runs or steals and homers, potentially. So I think there's plenty of upside here with Colt Emerson. He's a top 15, top 20 type prospect. You should add him anywhere you get the chance.
I know they play different positions, but where would you rank Emerson just among the AJ Ewing, Ryan Waldschmidt? We'll throw Henry Bolte in there as well. So just those 4.
Okay. So it was Ewing,
Waldschmidt, Bolte, and Colt Emerson.
Okay. I think I would go Ewing, Waldschmidt, Emerson, Bolte. I know Bolte is pretty interesting, but he's just not the same caliber of prospect as these guys. And then I think it ultimately just comes down to with Ewing and, especially Ewing, but a little bit Waldschmidt. We've seen those guys at the major league level a little bit, and they haven't looked overwhelmed. We don't know what it's going to look like for Colt Emerson so far. Mm-hmm. So Emerson's the better prospect of this group. So if you wanted to go that way, I think that's reasonable. But, he's so young. He's relatively unpolished. I do think it's okay to to have him a little bit at arm's length, but I kind of think someone in your league is going to add him. You probably have someone boring on your bench.
We do have yet another pitching injury. Blake Snell was placed in the IL with loose bodies in his left elbow. He'll have surgery on Tuesday, which is, I mean, this has really popped up a lot this year with like the loose bodies and stuff. I mean, this is maybe like the 5th pitcher that this has happened to. I know elbow things happen, but it's like this specific injury has been popping up a lot.
Oh, Schwellenbach, Waldrip, Hunter Green, all before the season, Skubal, Edwin Diaz.
I feel like it's been more prominent this year for whatever reason. That means we likely won't see Blake Snell until the second half of the season. There's just always something going on with Blake Snell, and there were reasons to proceed with caution just because like the way they were treating him all off season and like him just being delayed over and over again. So I mean, I had him as a bust. I didn't draft him anywhere, and this is just kind of part of the frustration, I guess, with someone like Blake Snell. We finally got the Max Fried update, and it could have been worse. He went on the IL with a bone bruise in his left elbow. He'll be shut down from throwing for a few weeks and will undergo further imaging once he is asymptomatic. So it's not like he needs surgery, he's out for the rest of this type thing, but the Yankees will obviously play that very cautiously. Elmer Rodriguez was recalled. He pitched okay against the Mets here, but my guess is he only gets one more start, and then Garrett Cole jumps back into the rotation.
I would think that is the likeliest outcome here, yes.
Yeah. Garrett Cole, by the way, did make another start this weekend, and it was the best that he's looked yet. It was 5 1/3 innings, 1 run, 6 strikeouts. He averaged 97 miles per hour on his fastball. He topped out at 99. So
did we actually see him in front of the StatCast cameras this time?
Yeah, it was at AAA.
Okay, nice. What day was that?
Saturday.
Okay. Gonna have to add that to the newsletter for tomorrow.
Oh yeah. Clay Holmes suffered a fractured right fibula, and I did not write how much time he's gonna miss. I don't know that there was an exact timeline anyway, but
I think I saw like 4 to 8 weeks.
Okay. So it sounds like initially one of Jonah Tong or Jack Wenninger. I should have looked up how to say his name. That's my bad. But Wenninger, he got hurt on Sunday when he was pitching, so I don't think he will be there. Jonah Tong has struggled a lot at AAA this season as well. They could just choose to go with a Tobias Myers type who has experience and is much less exciting, obviously. But any speculative bids on Jonah Tong with this injury to Clay Holmes?
I didn't get out ahead of it because he hasn't shown it at the major league level yet. Hasn't been great at AAA either, so I think...
No, he's flat out been bad.
I think it's okay to at least wait until he gets the call. And even then, maybe wait until he actually shows something against Major League hitting at this point. Because pitching is always ebbs and flows on the waiver wire. But I think we've got some interesting names out there. Logan Henderson's pretty widely available. Bryce Miller. I like Connor Prelup a lot.
Yeah, he had a good start this weekend.
I don't know. Do you have any Jared Jones notes in here?
I do not. Did he make another start this weekend?
That actually wasn't what I noticed. I noticed that Ben Cherington was asked about how they view him. And he was like, well, in the long run, he's a starting pitcher. And I was like, okay.
Well, did you see they interviewed him down in the minors and they asked, are you a starter when you return to the Pirates? And he said yes, emphatically. He's like, next question.
Okay.
So I don't know what's going on there.
Okay. Yeah. That was probably in response to that, but that was just something that kind of poked my antenna up, and I was like, oh, Gregory Soto blew a save on Friday. Dennis Santana, I believe, lost that game and then gave up runs on Sunday.
Yeah. I see where your head's going here.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But like Ben Brown's interesting. I think there are enough interesting, widely available pitchers that you don't have to speculate on a Jonah Tong or a Jack Wenninger yet.
Mm-hmm. Jared Jones, by the way, did make another start on Sunday. It was at AA, 4 1/3 innings, 2 runs, 7 strikeouts, 2 walks. He has looked dominant so far.
Dominant, yeah.
Yeah. Jose Altuve will go on the IL with a grade 2 left oblique strain. So grade 2, I mean, he's probably out at least a month, maybe longer. That's, obliques are pretty tricky. your obvious second base replacement, Angel Martinez, if you're in a shallower league. So check to see if he's out there. Hunter Brown will throw live BP Tuesday before potentially beginning a rehab assignment, with the Astros targeting mid-June to activate Hunter Brown. Christian Yelich returned to the lineup Sunday, and he homered. So I guess the back is all right, although it could always flare up, but it looked all right for one day at least. Corey Seager did not play this weekend due to back spasms. He was sent for an MRI. He also went back to Arlington to see the Rangers back specialist. So, and he's just been so terrible. I mean, perhaps this is part of why he's played so poorly, but I would plan on having a replacement for Seager this week.
Absolutely, yeah.
Josh Hader needs at least 5 more rehab appearances before joining the Astros, so perhaps the Monday of May 20, probably not. Probably maybe halfway through that week.
I was thinking like another 10 days or so, yeah.
Yep. Chase Dollander was placed in the IL with a right elbow sprain, which is unfortunate. He was off to a great start, and again, just his 2 worst starts of the year are the ones that I used him for. It's just, that's baseball, Susan. Ronald Acuna will not be activated until he can play the outfield, and it sounds like he might need another week to recover. So another one, not planning on using Acuna this week. Hopefully he's ready to go for next Monday, heading into the week of May 25th. Cole Reagans felt good after throwing a 30-pitch bullpen on Sunday. Cal Raleigh will be shut down for a week before the Mariners reevaluate him. Jose Altuve, I already did not update that one. I wrote that earlier in the weekend. Jeremy Pena could return on Monday. Are you looking to throw Pena back in lineups this week?
It was such a rough rehab stint, like setbacks and had the collision on the bases. I think he got hit by a couple of pitches too.
Rough.
I lean towards, just start him. He's back. Depends on what your options are, obviously.
Yep. Brandon Woodruff tossed 25 pitches during a bullpen on Thursday. He's scheduled to throw again on Monday. Trevor Story was placed in the IL with a groin injury and apparently is seeking additional opinions about whether he needs surgery for a sports hernia. So another one where that could explain why he's been so bad this year, if he's just playing through a sports hernia. Ryan O'Hearn went on the IL with a right quad strain. This one stinks. He has been so good this season for the Pirates. Robbie Snelling will have his left elbow evaluated further by the medical staff this week. He's on the IL with a UCL sprain in his left elbow. Byron Buxton has missed 4 straight with that hip issue. He did not play at all this weekend. Do you start or sit Byron Buxton?
And now you can worry. Yeah.
There you go, Chris.
I'd lean sit. It's always so tough with these situations because you can only backdate 3 days. So if he was going on the IL, they've already lost a day that they could backdate him for. So I would guess that means they think he's going to be there, but you often see teams wait until Monday, no matter what, to put guys on the IL. So
yeah,
the
Twins do play on Monday, so we should find out.
Yeah, we should find out. I would lean sit at this point.
Jordan Westberg underwent Tommy John surgery on Wednesday and will miss the rest of the season. Taj Bradley started a rehab assignment at AAA on Sunday. He is on the IL with a pec strain. If he was dropped in any leagues, I would look to re-add Taj Bradley. The Rockies placed Tyler Freeman on the paternity list, and they called up prospect Sterling Thompson. He's 24 years old, the 31st overall pick in 2022. Was doing some interesting things in the minors, hit .344, 4 homers, 8 steals, .987 OPS, more walks than strikeouts. I'm just not sure that Sterling Thompson sticks around here, Chris, once Freeman is ready to return.
Even if he does, nobody's playing every day for the Rockies right now. So it's like, I don't know how excited you can be about anyone on that roster.
Yep. Jose Barrios will undergo surgery to repair his right elbow. I assume that he's out of the season. I mean, that just...
Yeah, I didn't see any details. Yeah.
Could be a career ender, honestly, for Jose Barrios. Others who went to the IL this weekend, Elliot Ramos with a right quad strain, Ty Madden with a bruised right forearm, Matt Waldron with a forearm injury, and Jake Fraley with a hernia. Let's talk waiver wire hitters and AJ Ewing, who we've talked a lot about. I mean, he had another good game on Sunday. He went 1 for 1 with 3 walks, got on base 4 times, another stolen base. He actually had a steal on Saturday too, where his foot kind of got like jammed with, I think, Volpe's foot at second base, and it like got lifted off the bag, but he beat the throw by a mile, and it was just kind of like a weird complication that they called him out after review. But yeah, I mean, the guy is like lightning fast, 61% rostered. I think he is a must roster in all formats, 3 outfielder leagues, category leagues. It doesn't matter because I mean, what he does, walks, gets on base,
Mm-hmm.
steals a bunch of bags. I mean, that is a skill set that plays up regardless of format. Chris, how much did you see AJ Ewing go for in leagues where Fab already ran for you?
A pretty wide range. 200 in my TGFBI league. I got him in my Tout Wars league. Let me make sure.
12-team head-to-head points, right?
12-team head-to-head points, but with roto rosters, which that helps for a player like AJ Ewing, because I'm not sure you can count on him to be a top 36 outfielder, but top
50.
Top 50. Yeah, I think you can get him there. So no, I did not get him. I don't know who got him. Yeah, sorry.
I think you told me he went for around 200 or something like that.
That sounds right.
League. In my Tout Wars league, he went for $333 out of 1,000. So that is just that is a massive price tag. It is a 15-team roto league with OBP instead of batting average. So, I mean, that might actually be AJ Ewing's best format. He went for 174 in my TGFBI league. That's a 15-team roto. We won him in the Beat FBT league for 173. That is a 12-team roto league. The backup bid was $37.
Yeah, he was 111 in my Tout Wars. So wide range of outcomes there. I mean, people got to be running out of Fab now, right? I think that's one thing you're seeing is that there might be one or two people with a big amount. Like in one of my leagues, I was putting in waiver bids and I had like $800 left out of 1,000. So I need to be a lot more aggressive in that one. But there are some where like I've got $180 left. I can't blow it all.
I have been, and I didn't realize this, all my leagues, I have been really aggressive in Fab early on, and I do not have a lot of money left. So any other prospects that are coming our way, I'm not so sure that I'll be bidding on those. Let's talk about Casey Schmidt, who just continues to hit, man. 4 for 5 with a double dong on Saturday. He had 2 more hits on Sunday. The problem is that he's still sitting here and there. He's sat out 2 of the past 5 games, but with the way that he hit this weekend, I feel like, man, they got to get him close to everyday playing time. Bryce Eldridge.
Just send Bryce Eldridge down.
Yeah, Bryce Eldridge has not worked out so far, but hitting 297, 8 homers, 3 steals, 875 OPS. He's eligible at first, second, and third base. Is Casey Schmidt just a must roster player the way he's hitting?
I don't believe he will be a must roster player the rest of the season. But I think someone in your league probably could use him at first, second, or third base. Like, it's so nice to have a guy like that around because, you just lost Jose Altuve. Well, now you got a second baseman you can slot in, or your first baseman's struggling. You can slot him in there. So I do think Casey Schmidt is generally worth rostering, even though I think on his merits as a player, he will not be, a top 150 or 175 player the rest of the way.
Yeah, the expected stats look good for him. The barrel rate is up to 15% this year, which is by far a career high. Pulled air rate 31%, which is a career high for him as well. So he gets the assignment. He knows what he needs to do, and he's doing it pretty well right now. Chris, how would you rank these middle infielders? Some names that have heated up here. Bryson Stott is hitting much better so far in May. Only 250 batting average, but 4 homers, 16 RBI, 4 steals so far in the month. Brian Rocchio continues to hit well, 2 for 3 with a steal on Saturday. Then he hit his 4th home run on Sunday. And Marcus Semien has looked better so far in May as well, hitting 250 in the month, 2 homers, 10 runs, 2 steals, OPS just over 700 there. Not names that blow you away. I mean, you're not like overly excited about these 3, but how would you rank those 3? Stott, Rocchio, and Marcus Semien.
Yeah, I'm trying to look into Brian Rocchio and seeing if there's something to explain his success so far. And
his strikeout rate is way down.
His strikeout rate's way down, but even then, like, his swing rates haven't really changed. He's still chasing an above average rate. He's making a little more contact in the zone, but it's only like 3.5 percentage points. He's gone from about average to above average, but also swinging less often in the strike zone. So he has some of the worst quality of contact in baseball. This very much feels like just a hot hand play. And it's at least now he's running a lot. 6 steals in the month of May. That helps a lot because otherwise it's just the emptiest batting average you could possibly have with Brian Rocchio. But if he's going to be a big source of steals, then it does at least make it a little more interesting. But I would go Stott. I would guess I go Rocchio ahead of Semien, even though I have Semien ranked higher. Semien's so marginal at this point that I don't think you're going to miss not having him.
Yeah, and those are all options to replace Jose Altuve again if you need a second baseman. The problem with Stott is you do kind of have to like play it week to week. If you play in a daily lineup league, it's different, but the Phillies have 6 games this week, 3 lefties on the schedule, and so I think Stott's only going to play 3 games this week. It's like, how valuable is that for Bryson Stott? So it's frustrating, but I get it too. Like Edmundo Sosa crushes lefties, so it makes sense from a Phillies perspective there. Some deep league hitters. Anything here with Yohendrick Pinango of the Blue Jays? He went 2 for 4, hit his first career home run on Saturday. He has started 4 straight. Looks like he is getting a run against right-handed pitching. Interesting minor league numbers as well. Keibert Ruiz has been hitting well, 3 for 5 with a sock in the shoe on Saturday. The problem for him, he has only started 4 of the past 8 games for the Nationals. Jake McCarthy has been hitting well, 2 for 3 with a steal on Saturday, 2 more hits on Sunday. Last 15 games, he's hitting .375, 2 homers, and 3 steals. Harrison Bader has 3 home runs in his past 4 games. And Gavin Sheets had a huge weekend, 3 for 3, 2 homers on Sunday, had another homer on Saturday, 2 hits with a steal on Friday. Quietly has like 3 steals, 9 home runs now so far this season. So deep league names, Chris, but any interest in Sheets, Bader, McCarthy, Keibert Ruiz, and Yohendrick Pinango?
I think Bader is just had a nice 4-game stretch. I don't really think there's much there. McCarthy, I'd rather start them when they have games at home. Start him when they have games at home. They have 3 at home this week out of 7. The problem is how much of his recent playing time is real? Like if he goes 0 for 4 tomorrow, does he get benched for 3 of the next 4? That's just been the way the Rockies outfield has. I mean, really kind of the whole lineup. Like I want to say even Ezequiel Tovar has been getting days off for them, which is shocking. He's only got 163 plate appearances this season. It's like TJ Rumfeld and Hunter Goodman, and then I guess Tovar, but even Kyle Karros, Mickey Moniak, they're only playing about 75% of the time. They're just really
they just ride the hot hand pretty much.
Yeah, I mean Jordan Beck's not playing at all. I can't really trust anyone on the Rockies, but I think he's going to be a good source of batting average when they're at home, certainly, and probably steal some bases. Sheets, he does this at stretches every season. He can hit righties pretty well, but he's not a great hitter. We know who he is. Pinango, I don't know, because he's been productive and he's gotten a lot of there's been a lot of talk about him around the Blue Jays. Like he's just been a very, I don't know if it's like I haven't been watching, but I don't know if it's like he's a fun character, but I've just seen a lot of talk about him. And then I look at the minor league track record and it's not unimpressive, but there's nothing that really stands out. Like his overall production looks very like Lourdes Gurriel-esque, and he's doing it against AAA guys. So I don't really see a ton there, but I don't know, possibly. He's an organizational top 12 guy, so he could matter for fantasy, but I don't see much to get excited about with Yohendrick Pinango.
All right, let's take our final break. When we return, we'll jump into waiver wire pitchers from the weekend. We'll do that right after this.
When you need your sports news all the time,
we've got breaking news to bring to you.
CBS Sports HQ hits every highlight from all the sports that matter to you.
We're bringing you that breaking news right here on HQ.
CBS Sports HQ, streaming free 24/7.
Welcome back in Fantasy Baseball. Today, let's talk waiver wire pitchers from the weekend. And we already mentioned Logan Henderson, but again, it was another solid start. He's got a 3.50 ERA so far, 106 WHIP, 28% K- walk rate. He's 74% rostered. The problem is that he faces the Dodgers this week. So
yeah, I mean,
I want to roster Henderson, but I don't want to use him there.
I mean, this guy, I believe, whatever number of innings he has pitched, I believe he has the highest K- walk ratio in baseball since his debut for whatever that number of innings is. Because that was true before this start when he had 7 strikeouts to 1 walk. So I can only assume it will continue to be true. I don't know. It's so weird because it's just like a 93-mile-an-hour fastball and a changeup that he throws 85% of the time, then occasionally a couple other pitches. The cutter was good in this start, 3 whiffs. But I think even then he only threw it 9 times, 8 times. I think he's really good. I think Logan Henderson's really good. I don't see a lot to be skeptical of. He has been really good anytime he's been, like, literally anytime except the one spot start he made in like April. So I think Logan Henderson just needs to be rostered everywhere. And I wouldn't be saying sit him without any possibility of starting him this week. I wouldn't be shocked if he had a good start against the Dodgers.
It was a big weekend for Merrill Kelly. Where did this come from? A 4-hitter complete game against the Rockies in Coors Field. He only had 3 strikeouts, only 7 whiffs on 100 pitches. His velocity was down. His movement profiles were all over the place. That feels like a Coors Field thing. But the biggest thing for Merrill Kelly is, I think part of it was him working back from that back injury. His control early on was terrible. In this start, he walked none over 9 innings. And he threw 73% of his pitches for strikes. So he's getting up there in age, but I still think from, this point forward or from before this start forward, he's probably just going to look like Merrill Kelly, which is a mid-3s ERA and like a 115-ish whip.
It is a bummer that nobody got anything out of him in this one. Well, I guess maybe you started him. It was a 2-start week, right?
Was it?
Was this on Friday?
It was on Saturday, I believe.
Okay, yeah.
It might have been.
But you probably didn't start him at Coors Field. Why would you?
I mean, people are dropping him. He's only 61% roster.
But no, he should be rostered. We have a very long track record of this guy being very, very solid, and I wasn't too concerned about the slow start. So, yeah, I didn't realize he was that low rostered. That seems like an overreaction. I think go out and add him. I'm going to probably have to add him to the waiver wire column. I didn't realize he was that low.
Where would you take Merrill Kelly or Roki Sasaki?
Kelly.
I think so too. I think he'll be more usable, more consistent. But again, I am intrigued by the mystery bag that is mystery box. I think box is probably the right thing. Mystery box of Roki Sasaki.
Bag of mysteries.
Yeah, why not? Names only available in shallower leagues. Do any of them matter? Jack Leiter took a tough loss at the Astros. 7 innings, 1 run, 6 strikeouts. Only had 7 whiffs on 98 pitches. This was his first quality start since March 30th, his first start of the season. He also is in Colorado this week, so that's not great. Randy Vasquez pitched well at the Mariners. 6 shutout innings with 3 strikeouts for him. He also allowed 11 hard hits. It was a 95.8 average exit velocity against, and he gets the Dodgers this week. And Jeffrey Springs, a solid outing against the Giants. 6 innings, 2 runs, 1 earned, 3 strikeouts. He is at the Padres this week. So, I mean, if we're just saying these guys are streamer types, to me, Jeffrey Springs is the most usable of the 3.
Yeah, and I in any league where these guys are available, I think is shallow enough where you're not exactly killing for upside anyway, so dying for upside. So I would probably just prioritize whoever has the best matchup. I wouldn't be shocked if Jack Leiter had a good start at Coors Field. It's still the Rockies lineup, but there's no way I'm going to roll that dice with how up and down he's been. And then Vasquez, I'm not starting him against the Dodgers. I think he's useful. I think he's, a viable streamer, but I don't think he's much more than a viable streamer.
3 names, young, kind of interesting. Cade Cavalli against the Orioles, 6 1/3 innings, 3 runs, 8 strikeouts, 0 walks. Big key for him, through 72% of his pitches for strikes. And I put him in here because he faces the Mets this week. I know their lineup has technically started to heat up, but still overall not a great offense there. Trevor McDonald has pitched well for the Giants here. He was at the Athletics, 6 2/3, 1 run, 5 strikeouts for him. He allowed 11 hard hits, but he gets a lot of ground balls. So a lot of those hard hits just go straight into the ground. He gets the White Sox this week. We also kind of have to reframe our brains.
Yeah.
White Sox offense is actually good now. So it's not just
like a couple of guys who can get on base, a couple of guys who can hit for power.
Yeah.
The White Sox are not a great matchup. I don't think they're oh no, the White Sox, but
it's just for years we would always say, the White Sox, start them. But yeah, that's not really the case anymore.
Yep.
And then Connor Prelip, who you mentioned earlier, he pitched well against the Brewers, 6 innings, 2 runs, 1 of those earned. He had 8 strikeouts to 2 walks. He has allowed 2 earned runs or fewer in all 5 of his starts. And he's at the Red Sox this week. They are better against lefties, but I don't really mind that matchup. How would you rank these three, Chris? Prelip, Trevor McDonald, and Cade Cavalli.
I think I would go Cavalli, Prelip, McDonald. But
let's put Prelip at the top of that list.
Like that's kind of where I'm leaning, is just I think Cade Cavalli's just a guy. Like, there's pretty good strikeout upside, but he just gets hit really hard when he doesn't get strikeouts, and he really only has the one great pitch. So I don't, I mean, Connor Prelip, I'm not sure he has any great pitches outside of his slider either, but I think he's interesting. There's a little mystery box element there. So if you want to put him ahead of Cade Cavalli, yeah, that's fine. I was certainly prioritizing Prelip in my leagues over Cavalli anyway when I was making my additions.
Do you have any interest in Trevor McDonald, the way he's pitched so far? His minor league numbers were terrible.
Yeah, and is he likely to stick in the rotation for long?
Yeah, I guess Logan Webb could return this.
Yeah, that's my concern. I think, because I actually was reading, I think Nick Pollock's Saturday recap. He likes Trevor McDonald, it seems. But yeah, I think Logan Webb might be making his next start. That would be my concern.
Yeah. I'm not really... Look, McDonald has pitched much better than Tyler Mahle and Adrian Hauser.
Yeah, they could take Hauser or Mahle out. Mahle had another bad start this weekend.
Yeah.
That wouldn't shock me either.
Yeah, it's possible. I would probably rank them Prelip, McDonald, and Cade Cavalli. The Cade Cavalli thing, it's like he didn't walk anybody this weekend, but typically walks too many, gets hard contact. He's a really volatile pitcher. Any interest in these streamer types? Grant Holmes shut down the Red Sox 6 shutout innings with 4 strikeouts. He gets the Nationals this week. They have hit very well this year, but they're much better against lefties and righties. Stephen Kolek had a quality start. He gets the Mariners this week. Andre Palante had 7 strikeouts in this start against the Royals, had 13 whiffs on 99 pitches. His velocity was up as well. He's at the Reds, though. Bad matchup. And then Giolito looked solid in his Padres debut until I looked at his velocity, and he was down 3 miles per hour on everything. Whoa.
Mm-hmm.
He gets the Athletics this week. It's in San Diego. I think we know what these guys are. Do you have any interest in them in any of these matchups?
No, not really. I think Holmes and Kolek can be useful streamers against the right matchups, but I don't think, like, Washington and Seattle aren't horrible, but I don't think they're good enough that I'd be running out to add them. Palante, I think, is just a guy. So at Cincinnati, I'm not going to roll the dice on that. I don't know. Giolito was pretty bad last season, and now he's 3 miles per hour down. I know his ERA was like 3.60 or something, but it was like a 1.35 whip, no strikeouts, very inconsistent. So I need to see a lot more before I'm willing to roll the dice on Lucas Giolito.
Deep league names to watch. Let's see what happens here. Robert Gasser, Kai-Wei Teng of the Astros. He actually pitched well here, 5 shutout innings with 7 strikeouts, and he's a spark for those who play in points leagues. Coleman Crow pitched well for the Brewers on Friday as well. He was already optioned to the minors. So again, they feel like scout team guys, or just like, let's see where this goes. But any intrigue with any of these three, Chris? Gasser, Kai-Wei Teng, and Coleman Crow.
Yeah, I know Gasser is a guy that some people liked. Entering the season, the Brewers obviously have a very good track record for wringing the most out of their, somewhat marginal pitching talent. So I think that's a name to watch. And then Teng does some interesting stuff. The sweeper was really good in this one. I think these are both names to watch, but outside of even 15-team leagues, I'm not sure I'd be looking to add either of them yet.
We wanted to see how Grayson Rodriguez would do in his first start in 2 years, 3 years? I think it's 2 years.
Almost 2 full year, like 22 months.
And we said it was a bad landing spot here against the Dodgers, and it was ugly. 3 2/3 innings, 7 hits, 7 runs, 4 walks, 4 strikeouts. Some positives, like the fastball velocity was spot on where it has been in the past. He averaged 96 miles per hour. Maybe eventually this can turn into something, but I don't think there's anything we need to do with Grayson Rodriguez right now. Starter sit these pitchers for this upcoming week. Spencer Arrighetti took a no-hitter into the 8th inning against the Rangers. 7 1/3 shutout. He had 5 strikeouts to 4 walks. And he's got a 1.50 ERA, a 1.19 whip, over 5 walks per 9. So that is a problem. What are your thoughts here on Arrighetti so far? And would you use him at the Cubs this week?
I think he's a pretty fringe guy right now. I would prefer not to use him at the Cubs. That is not a great matchup. I guess that one might depend just like what the weather is that day, because if the wind's blowing in, maybe you can go with it. But he walks too many guys to keep getting away with the results he has. I think he's talented. The curveball's been excellent. I'm just not sure the rest of the arsenal's there.
Mm-hmm. I like Arrighetti. I think you could probably make like a sell high case for him, but
yeah,
he's talented. I would not want to use him at the Cubs this week. Casey Mize looked good in his return from the IL against the Blue Jays, 6 shutout innings with 4 strikeouts. His velocity was up a little bit in the start as well. He's quietly been really good this season. 2 earned runs or fewer in 6 of 7 starts. He's 85% rostered. He's only 29% started, which I get, like, first start coming back off the IL. Gets the Guardians this week. Again, they're swinging a hot bat with Angel Martinez and J-Ram and those boys. Would you use Casey Mize this week?
I think he's fine. I think he's a perfectly fine starter. He's never someone I think you have to rank inside of the top 50 SPs, but he's always someone who's worth rostering. And I think, even with Cleveland hitting a little better lately, it's still a pretty bad lineup. So I would be okay using Casey Mize.
Sandy.
Tell me about it, Stud.
He pitched well. How about that? Against the Rays, 6 innings, 1 unearned run with 6 strikeouts to 0 walks. His I noticed his slider was different in this one. It was 2.4 miles per hour, and it had 4 less inches of drop. It was solid. His changeup was very good in this one. He's just been so inconsistent this season. 70% started is Sandy. Do you use him against the Braves this week? Tough matchup.
I think I would, but it's not a must start. Yeah, I did notice the same thing with the slider looking maybe a little more cuttery in this one. I know there have been some times when he's been throwing a cutter this season, so I wonder if there's just a classification thing there. But yeah, I did notice that he's been. The overall numbers are actually closer to what I was expecting than I expected, if that makes sense. He's down to a 3.53 ERA, 126 whip's a little high, but
we need more strikeouts, man.
We definitely need more strikeouts. But yeah, I'd lean towards starting him, but I don't think it's a must start for sure.
Carlos Rodon has been pretty bad through his first 2 starts. He was at the Mets this weekend, 3 2/3 innings, 2 runs, 6 strikeouts to 3 walks. The whiffs were okay, and he actually threw 63% of his pitches for strikes, but 3 walks. I mean, the play that he made, did you watch?
That was bad. Yeah, that was bad.
Dude, what? Sometimes the things that go through Carlos Rodon's head, he's such a talented pitcher, but he has like these mental gaffes sometimes. It's just, man, what is he doing? Yeah. 58% started to use Rodon against the Blue Jays this week.
Given how bad the control's been so far, I would lean against it. I think the stuff's looked good. Like the velocity is there. It's actually been up a little bit. The whiffs have been there. I think he's going to figure it out, but this is one of those things where you can look at it in both directions, right? Well, I'm sure we'll talk about Jose Soriano and Yuri Perez very soon, but I look at both of them and it's like, what's gone wrong with Yuri Perez? Well, he can't throw strikes. What's gone right with Jose Soriano? Well, he had cut the walk rate significantly before this most recent start. And that is such a tough thing for me as an analyst because there's very little tangible to it that you can say. Like, that's just they're pitching better. And maybe they will continue to pitch as good as they have or as poorly as they have. But it's the kind of thing that can turn on a dime and completely change a pitcher's fortunes. So Rodon, I'm definitely not giving up on, but I think it makes sense to sit him.
I know people will yell at me for talking about the Yankees so much today, but they, after this weekend, right, and just like the way things kind of melted down, they have to face the Blue Jays and the Rays this week. I mean, this could just be an absolutely this could be a brutal week.
Okay, but they were also playing well before this recent stretch.
I know. It's just they always start so well, and then once you get to like this is sooner than usual. Usually it's like June and July where they start to fall apart, but here we are. It's May, and the Yankees are doing Yankees things. Jose Soriano fell apart in the 6th inning against the Dodgers here. Obviously tough matchup, but 5 1/3 innings, only 1 hit allowed, 6 runs, 6 walks, 6 strikeouts. He had 16 whiffs. on 92 pitches. And his last 4 starts, to 6.14 ERA, a 150 whip. So he's given back a little bit. I mean, his overall numbers are still really good, but do you use Jose Soriano this week against the Athletics?
Yes. Away from Sacramento, yeah, I would definitely use him. But yeah, the last 3 or 4 starts, the walks have gone back up. The walk rate is actually now basically what it was last season, if I'm remembering correctly. And so the biggest change for Jose Soriano now is his strikeout rate has gone way up. I think it's still at like 29-30%, if I'm remembering correctly. Let me make sure. 28% up from 21%. His walk rate identical to what it was last season. So that's the biggest change. And it's like, he's not the same exact pitcher as he was last year. He's throwing that 4-seamer a lot more. He's throwing the splitter more. He's throwing the sinker less. The sinker now has a 29% whiff rate. It all feels a little precarious still, especially if he's back to being an 11% walk rate guy like he has been lately. So I'm not giving up on Jose Soriano, but I'm not sure, the top 20 starting pitcher stuff is where I want to be. I never got him there in my rankings, but I think you were pretty close.
I think the highest I got him was up to 30. I think I still have him around there in the 30 to 35 range.
He's not far from me.
Yeah, maybe he drops down a little bit, but yeah, it's just he's walking way too many right now. That's Jose Soriano. Chris, one of the questions, or I guess 2 questions here that we're getting most often right now is, what do we do with Yuri Perez and Bubba Chandler? Yuri Perez, 5 innings, 5 runs, 4 walks, 5 strikeouts, 2 homers allowed at the Rays this weekend. He has just 3 quality starts in 10 outings and 4.8 walks per 9. Bubba Chandler, 3 innings, 5 runs, 4 walks to 2 strikeouts, only had 3 whiffs against the Phillies. He couldn't throw strikes, and then when he did, it just got hit really hard. And yeah, I mean, he's been even worse. This was the first weekend in some leagues where I actually thought about dropping Bubba Chandler. I didn't get there yet, but I can't really blame people for asking. So what are we doing with Yuri Perez and Bubba Chandler?
I think it's a lot easier to hold Yuri Perez. I think he's not nearly as far away as Bubba Chandler is. Now, obviously, look, 4.8 walks per 9, that's way too much, especially for a guy who gives up the kind of home runs that Yuri Perez does and likely always will. And if you look at, his Baseball Savant page, they do a little graphic showing you their heat zones, how often they pitch in what part of the strike zone. And with Yuri, it's like outside of the strike zone with his 4-seamer or right down the middle. And his slider is kind of the same thing. And then his changeup is awesome. It is like just outside, like just a hair outside of the strike zone. And then his curveball is also right in the middle of the strike zone or outside. And so it's like, I think that kind of sums it up. He's just not like, there's just so many uncompetitive pitches. I don't know if there's a single pitcher I've watched this season where it looks like he misses his spot by 3 feet as often as Yuri Perez. But the stuff is so good. And I'm going to keep betting on it when he's not that far away. Like, we've at least gotten a couple of good starts out of him. We've gotten a couple of starts where he's gotten it together. Bubba Chandler's given us nothing this season. Like, for a guy with his stuff, and I think the quality of the stuff is not far from Yuri Perez, but he can't put guys away. I think his sequencing is all messed up. I wonder, I mentioned the Jared Jones to the bullpen thing earlier. I do wonder if, like, this is a Pirates team that's trying to make the playoffs. Do they send Bubba Chandler down to work on things when Jared Jones is healthy or ready?
Frankly, I'm surprised they haven't yet.
I think they have to have that conversation at least. So
yep.
I would say Perez sit, but hold. Chandler, I would love to hold, but he just hasn't given us any reason to believe that he's anywhere close. And I think with both of them, the light could go on in one bullpen session. I don't know what the problem is. Like, I can't diagnose it. So hopefully someone smart on the team can notice something mechanically and get them adjusted and get them going. Bubba Chandler already did it once last season, going from great early on, really struggled in the middle part of the season, barely walked anybody when he got to the majors. He had like 4 walks in 30 innings or something. So I still think he can get there, but Perez is an easier hold than Chandler right now, I think.
Pitching leftovers, part 1, Christopher Sanchez destroyed the Pirates. 6-hit shutout, 13 strikeouts to 0 walks, 17 whiffs on 108 pitches. His last 3 starts, Christopher Sanchez, 24 shutout innings, 30 strikeouts to 1 walk. He has been ridiculous. Cam Schlittler continues to dominate. He was at the Mets, 6 2/3 innings, 1 run, 9 strikeouts, 19 whiffs on 106 pitches. Nathan Eovaldi shut down the Astros after his injury scare earlier in the week. 7 shutout innings with 8 strikeouts for him. Last 3 starts for Eovaldi, 22 innings, 1 run, 23 strikeouts to just 3 walks. And Trey Savage turned in a quality start at the Tigers. 6 innings, 2 runs, 6 strikeouts, 19 whiffs on 88 pitches. And I felt like watching highlights of this game, this was the best that Savage's splitter has looked all season. Any thoughts on Savage, Eovaldi, Cam Schlittler, and Christopher Sanchez?
I think it's all systems go across the board for all 4 of these guys.
All right, continuing on to the next group, we have Joe Ryan against the Brewers. 6 innings of 1-run ball with 7 strikeouts there. Back-to-back quality starts, just 1 earned run total. 1 earned run in each start since he left that outing on May 3rd with elbow soreness. So good to see that he's pitched well after that. Spencer Strider, solid against the Red Sox, 5 1/3 innings, 1 run, 4 strikeouts, but had 16 whiffs on 84 pitches. Emerson Hancock took a tough loss against the Padres, 6 innings, 1 run, 6 strikeouts for him. And Nick Martinez continued his strong season at the Marlins, 6 shutout innings, 4 strikeouts. He's allowed 2 earned runs or fewer in all 9 starts. He does not get any strikeouts. I'm not exactly sure how he's doing this, but he's been awesome so far. Anything to add on Martinez, Emerson Hancock, Spencer Strider, and Joe Ryan?
Strider, it's a little bit of up and down right now. You know, the whiff numbers are really good. There was the fastball movement looked a little better this time around, but it's still not an elite pitch. Still gets a lot of hard contact with it. Changeup and curveball whiff rates are very good so far. I don't know how much I buy that. I need a bigger sample size, but I think this is a case where the worst case scenarios have not come to pass for Spencer Strider. I don't see him as like an impact arm moving forward, but I think he's someone you're probably more happy to have around than not the rest of the way.
Nick Martinez, are you any closer to buying what he's doing, or is it just?
Of course not.
No. Okay.
I mean, it's Nick Martinez. We have a very long track record. The underlying stats are very mediocre right now. He's getting away with it, and I'm fine continuing to rely on it, but I don't see any reason to buy in a big way.
Yeah. The one thing I have noticed is the Rays have had him favor the sinker and the changeup more this season, and those are typically his best pitches. So, I mean, it's, they didn't reinvent the wheel. They're like, hey, just throw your 2 best pitches more, and that's what Martinez has done. So, pretty clear, sell high if you can. I don't know how many people are actually buying Nick Martinez on the other end of that. Pitching leftovers, part 3. Davis Martin did it again, this time against the Cubs. 6 innings, 1 run, 7 strikeouts, 0 walks. He had 15 whiffs on 91 pitches. This dude has been lights out. 23% K- walk rate so far. His swinging strike rate is way up. He has a quality start in 3 straight, 1 earned run or fewer in 6 straight for Davis Martin. Peyton Tolley, the longest outing of his career at the Braves, 8 innings, 2 runs, only 3 strikeouts. Bryce Elder took a tough loss on the other side, 8 innings, 3 runs, 3 strikeouts for him. And Kevin Gausman bounced back at the Tigers, 6 shutout innings with 5 strikeouts. Chris, anything on Gausman, Elder, Tolley, and Davis Martin?
Yeah, I don't quite understand how Davis Martin's suddenly evolved into this version of himself where the slider is one of the best pitches in baseball, 53% whiff rate heading into this start. I don't get it, but I will say there were some changes in this start. His extension was up almost a half foot in this start, which is a fairly big deal. He's getting an extra half inch closer to the plate. That'll make everything play up better. I don't know. I look at the individual pitches, and the 4-seamer whiff rate's up from 21.5 to 29.5, slider from 30 to 52.9. That all screams regression. but the underlying numbers suggest he's been very good, and he's getting a ton of strikeouts right now and missing bats. And I don't know. I don't buy Davis Martin as an ace all of a sudden, but I also don't think you should drop him. If somebody gave me an offer where they viewed him as would I rather have Yuri Perez or Davis Martin rest of the season? I think it's Yuri Perez. Who would I rather start for the next 2 weeks? Definitely Davis Martin, the way he's pitching.
Yeah.
I just think at some point it's going to regress for him. I don't think he's going to be able to keep missing bats this way. I mean, look, a 53% whiff rate is like on a slider. I don't know if Spencer Strider was ever a 53% whiff rate on a slider. That's a bonkers number. That's the kind of thing you see from like relievers. So I just have to believe that will regress and that he can't sustain it. But right now, the way Davis Martin's pitching, you got to start him.
Spencer Strider's slider in 2023, Chris, 55% whiff.
There you go. We've all said Davis Martin, Spencer Strider, the two best sliders in baseball.
Yep. Last name I have on this list here is Logan Gilbert, man. He has just been so frustrating this season. He got bombed by the Padres, 6 2/3 innings, 7 runs, 3 homers allowed in this one. He still had 14 whiffs on 97 pitches. I dug in. I didn't really see anything that was like too wrong with the underlying stuff in this start for Logan Gilbert. His fastball did get hit a little hard, but like his overall average EV in this start was 84.7 miles per hour. It's just, do you just keep rolling Logan Gilbert out there as long as he's healthy?
Yeah, I think you have to keep rolling him out there. I know it's been frustrating. There have been some bad starts. One start ago, he struck out 9 over 6 shutout innings too. So I'm not giving up on him. He's still missing a ton of bats. Slider and splitter still look like excellent swing and miss pitches. Fastball's just been a little off this season, and I do wonder if. I always wonder when a pitcher who doesn't need a cutter starts introducing a cutter like Logan Gilbert has this year. And that was one that I saw. He had basically Cal Raleigh told him not to throw his sinker or his cutter anymore. And then the very first start when Cal Raleigh went to the World Baseball Classic during spring training, Logan Gilbert started throwing his cutter and sinker more. And the cutter has stayed, the sinker has not. But it's one of those things where I just like the cutter doesn't look like a terrible pitch, but I just look at the whole arsenal. It's like, what's the point? Like what is added by the cutter? Like I get it. You're, a self-made pitcher and you've tinkered your way every year to adding new pitches and you've made yourself a great pitcher. But it's like at some point you run the risk of tinkering your way out of success. And that anytime you have the cutter, four-seam or slider combo guys, unless you really need a pitch to neutralize the platoon, and he doesn't, I always think there's some risk that you mess up your feel for your four-seam or you start cutting your four-seam or you lose a little effectiveness there. Maybe that's what we're seeing here. It's just feel for the four-seamer is not great. I don't know.
All right, some hitting leftovers. Kyle Schwarber, 2 more bombs on Friday. He is the first to 20 home runs this season. Brandon Lau had 2 home runs Friday as well. He's had a strong season, 12 homers, 31 RBI, 895 OPS for him. Dalen Lyle continues to rake. He had a big game on Friday, 3 for 4 with his 7th home run. Last 7 games for Dalen Lyle, 400 batting average, 4 homers, 10 RBI, 1 steal, and he's up to 84% rostered. So not out there in any leagues and really shouldn't be. The Miguel Vargas breakout starting to look more legit. He homered 2 more times this weekend. He's got a 374 on base percentage, 11 homers, 6 steals, 880 OPS. Murakami had 2 more home runs on Saturday as well. He's up to 17 for the season. Juan Soto with a big revenge weekend against the Yankees.
I will have my vengeance in this life or the next.
He homered on Friday, 2 for 2 with 2 steals on Saturday, and then he had another steal on Sunday. So big weekend for Soto. Brent Rooker looks like he's coming around so far in May. 276, 4 homers, 13 RBI, and 871 OPS. That looks a lot more like Brent Rooker. Bryce Harper has quietly been really good. He had 4 hits on Friday. He homered on both Saturday and Sunday. One might even say that he's been an elite hitter so far.
I wrote that in tomorrow's newsletter.
There you go. And Corbin Carroll enjoyed his weekend in Coors Field. He had a double dong on Sunday. He had 2 hits with a steal on Friday. So lots of names here, Chris. Anything that stands out to you that you'd like to touch on?
Yeah, Harper. It's interesting because the average exit velocity is the lowest it's been since 2016, 88.9 miles per hour. But he is like 43rd percentile in average exit velocity. If you sort just by fly balls and line drives, he jumps up to like 65th percentile. So I don't really care if Bryce Harper is not hitting the ball on the ground hard. I care if he's hitting the ball in the air hard. He has cut a few points off his strikeout rate. He is pulling the ball in the air a little more often. I don't know if we can say that this is going to last forever, that he's a 900 OPS or 930 OPS bat again, but I think you're feeling really good if you have Bryce Harper on your team. And, now that there was that kind of second tier first baseman coming into the season where that top tier was Kurtz, Alonso, and Vlad. I think Kurtz is clear number one. I don't know if you think that's too hot, but
I still have Vlad first, but it's not with much conviction. I mean, switch. It's
Kurt's underlying numbers are actually better than last year. He's running, he's hitting leadoff. I think he's the clear number one. After him, it feels like Vlad, Matt Olson, Bryce Harper, Pete Alonso. I mean, Ben Rice, honestly, if you're including him in the first base conversation, I think you could go really any way with that five. And I wouldn't really argue with it. If you want to put Pete Alonso at the bottom because he's been cold, I think there's a case for that. If you want to stick with your preseason expectation to have him closer to the top, I think that's okay too. But I think those guys are all very, very bunched up now. And I think Kurtz is the top guy now.
I think first base is the best position in fantasy this season. It is just absolutely loaded with all the names that you just talked about. We didn't even mention Freeman. Devers has been better in May, but obviously overall not great. But Sal Stewart, huge breakout season. Murakami, what he's doing.
It'd be nice if Vinny Pasquantino showed up.
Yeah.
You know who we haven't talked about at all? Yandy Diaz having another huge season.
Yeah, he's in there. There's Alec Burleson. There's Jonathan Aranda. Miguel Vargas with the breakout year. There's Christian Walker, who's been a revelation.
Show some respect for Liam Hicks, MLB RBI leader. I saw today.
Is he still a leader?
Liam Hicks has 40 RBI. The next two guys on the Marlins have 20 and 19. He has more RBI than the next two guys on his team combined.
Just bonkers stuff.
He has a 690 OPS with the bases empty. He has a 1090 OPS with runners on base.
That's crazy. The call to the bullpen for the Pirates on Friday. Gregory Soto got the ninth inning with a 3-run lead. He allowed 3 runs, 2 of those earned on 2 walks and 2 hits. He took his second blown save. Then Dennis Santana got the 10th, and he allowed 3 runs on 4 hits. He did not record an out. My guess is Gregory Soto gets the next save opportunity here for the Pirates.
I think so.
For the Reds on Friday, Pierce Johnson pitched the 6th inning. It was Tony Santillan in the 7th. Graham Ashcraft got the 8th. He allowed 4 runs. It was eventually TJ Antone who got the 9th with a 2-run lead. He allowed a run, but picked up his first save. It is a messy bullpen right now. In the deepest of leagues where saves are scarce, I threw a couple dollars on TJ Antone just in case he gets the next save opportunity for the Reds. But I really don't know.
I don't. Yeah, maybe. I don't have any interest in any of that.
Yeah. For the Brewers on Friday, Abner Uribe got the 8th inning with a 1-run lead. He was facing the top of the Twins lineup. He allowed a hit and a walk, but he got out of it. And then Trevor McGill got the 9th. He struck out 1 for his 5th save. Then on Saturday, Chad Patrick threw 4 shutout innings to pick up his first save. Just kind of seems like he's out of the rotation. I guess more like a kind of bulk reliever for Chad Patrick. Do you think the Brewers are switching back over to Trevor McGill after getting a save on Friday?
It's possible. I mean, it's really the first time that this has happened, but I know Uribe hasn't exactly run away with it. So we always said, unless Uribe just made himself unimpeachable, it always kind of felt like they wanted to go back to McGill. You know, there were some quotes from Chad Tracy basically saying that. So I wouldn't shock me. Pat
Murphy. Yeah. For the Astros on Friday, Chad Tracy. That's the Red Sox manager now.
Yep.
For the Astros on Friday, Brian King got the final 5 outs for his 4th save. Then on Saturday, King pitched in the 7th inning, and it was Brian Abreu who got the final 4 outs for his 2nd save. As we mentioned earlier, Josh Hader seems like he should be back within the next 2 weeks. So all these other guys in the Astros bullpen probably don't matter too much.
Mm-hmm.
For the Athletics on Friday, it was the lefty Hogan Harris who picked up his third save. Jack Perkins worked both Wednesday and Thursday. But, Perkins has been a little bit shaky here, so we'll see if he gets the next save opportunity. For the Rockies on Saturday, Antonio Senzatella picked up his third save. He is looking kind of like the closer-ish, I guess. Does it matter, Chris, Rockies bullpen?
I mean, it matters in as much as anyone who gets saves matters in a true roto league, but I would not be excited about Antonio Senzatella on my team. Like, what's the upside? You get like 14 saves and probably bad. I know he's been good this season, but I can't count on getting good peripherals from him or ratios.
For the Giants on Saturday, Caleb Killian came on in the 8th inning with a 5-run lead, 2 runners on. He allowed a 3-run homer. It was lefty Matt Gage who picked up the save in the 9th inning. I have no idea. I think it's Caleb Killian, but it's also just like Tony Vitello has become who was the manager for the
Gabe
Giants?
Kapler.
Yeah, oh yeah, he's Gabe Kapler reincarnated. It's so frustrating. For the Yankees on Sunday, we spoke about this earlier. David Bednar gave up a 3-run homer to tie the game. His overall number is 4.95 ERA, 155 WHIP.
Yep.
I don't see a clear person that would be next up. I wonder if they would give Fernando Cruz a look.
Yeah.
I don't think we're close to this because I think that there is a leash here with Bednar, and like typically Aaron Boone is loyal to a fault with his closers. But I mean, at some point, if he continues to struggle, like Fernando Cruz pitched the 8th inning in this game, he gets a bunch of strikeouts. He also walks everybody. So I don't even know who would be next up, but I guess Cruz would be my
I mean, Camilo Doval's got the experience, but he's got a 5.51 ERA. And he wasn't great. Was he? He was pretty bad after the trade last year too. Yeah, he was. I would guess Bednar has some leash, but yeah, that's I wouldn't have a ton of faith in Fernando Cruz. He's a pretty good pitcher, but not a lights out one for sure. So I think if you're the Yankees, you're hoping David Bednar just. We've been on this ride before, and he tends to right himself eventually. So you would hope he can do that. But yeah,
unfortunately, I think the answer is their closer is not on their roster right now. So
I would think their closer in the playoffs. There's a decent chance they're not on their roster right now. Yes.
Yep. To stream or not to stream on Monday, we have Andrew Painter against the Reds, J.R. Ritchie at the Marlins, Christian Scott at the Nationals, Brandon Sproat at the Cubs, JT Ginn at the Angels, Walbert Urania against the Athletics, Zach Gallen against the Giants, Noah Schultz at the Mariners. Like some intriguing names, but
yeah, there's some intriguing combos of name and matchup. I think JT Ginn is okay.
I think Urania against the Athletics could be all right.
Urania's okay. Painter against the Reds and Phillies, not terrible. J.R. Ritchie against the Marlins is not terrible. Christian Scott at the Nationals is not terrible, but I don't have any faith in the pitchers themselves. Noah Schultz at Seattle could be good, but it's a lot of pitchers I really do not trust. And I did note on J.R. Ritchie, it's not actually J.R. Ritchie, but I saw Reynaldo Lopez toss a couple innings today, and velocity was close-ish. He was like 94.5. So I do wonder if we're getting close to J.R. Ritchie running out of some rope and Reynaldo Lopez getting another chance because Richie's been pretty terrible.
Yeah, I would watch out for Didier Fuentes too. He's looking good out of the bullpen there. If I'm ranking Monday, I would probably go Ginn, Urania, and Christian Scott.
I think that's okay, yeah.
On Tuesday, we have Griffin Jacks against the Orioles, Zebby Matthews, but it's against the Astros, Ben Brown against the Brewers, Matthew Liberatore against the Pirates, Reed Detmers against the Athletics, Ryan Nelson against the Giants. That one's pretty good.
Yeah, Ryan Nelson against the Giants, Reed Detmers against the A's, and I think I go Ben Brown third.
I think Ben Brown. I'm not opposed to Jacks either. The Orioles lineup has been pretty bad for this season.
He just hasn't. He went 5 innings his most recent start, I think, but
it was 4 walks to 1 strikeout.
1 strikeout. It was still only like 60-something pitches, so I think there's a lot of like 4-inning risk there.
I would rank them Nelson, Detmers, and Ben Brown on Tuesday. We are going to wrap there. For Chris, I am Frank. Thanks as always for tuning in to Fantasy Baseball today. Please make sure to follow and leave a 5-star rating on Apple or Spotify, and we will be back again tomorrow. Bye-bye.